session. So the Environmental Student Action Challenge has been funded for the 4 years now. This is the 4th year of the program. And it actually started from a Minister for the Day program and kind of evolved into something where we're giving money directly to students and student groups to do all sorts of different environmental projects across the province. So I've been coordinating the program for a few years since it started. And I'm really excited. Like I really love this program and I love seeing all of the great work that different students are doing. So today I won't take up too much of everyone's time, but we'll chat for about 45 minutes here. I'll give a little overview of the program. And then I wanted to talk about some other funding opportunities that exist, because I know that people are doing really great and really interesting work with their students, and students are so creative and passionate, and there's lots of different programs that exist that can help to fund these different projects. And Caring for Our Watersheds is one of those programs. So Cody will give an overview of the Caring for Our Watersheds program. So I really like this idea that motivation follows action. And I'm sure that everyone can kind of relate to that when there's real projects that students can participate in, and you can actually like get dirty and put these different connections together. Then by taking action, it shows us that real environmental change is possible and that we can play a part in that. So that's the goal of the Environmental Student Action Challenge. And this year we have funded 16 different projects from all across the province here. So you can see we've got a wide range of different municipalities involved, I guess. There's really students from all the way from Fort McMurray down to High River and Black Diamond in the south. So there's everyone right from preschool all the way to high school who are involved with these projects. And each of the projects they're very locally based, and they're really important to those specific communities. And I think everyone involved brings a different skill set to these projects. So this is the Environmental Student Action Challenge website, and I would invite everybody to make sure that they're kind of checking in on this website, and please post updates about your projects as you're going. So if you have any photos you would like to share, just send those to me, and then I'm happy to share them on the website. And then any little updates, if you want to, like if you are doing something and you want to share an update about the project, you can post right onto this website and we'll share it there. If you do submit any photos or videos, we just need to make sure that we have those release forms signed. So those are available on the website, or I can send you an email with one again. But would really like to see lots of updates going out on the website, because there's such cool projects going on. And I think that everyone who is participating in a project can kind of inspire others and showcase the great work that's happening all across the province. So that leads us into the next part here about funding opportunities. And really the goal is just to help you make an impact. There's so much great work happening, and there's so much opportunity across this province here with dedicated students and dedicated teachers. So you can really, hopefully, have a great impact. And sometimes you just need a little bit of money to get you started. So I would highly recommend checking out the ACE website. So that's the Alberta Council for Environmental Education. And on their site, you will see they have a huge list of different kinds of funds that are available. Some of them are grants, some of them are awards. So there's all sorts. if you are a passionate student, then definitely check this out because there's lots of different awards available. And they can help you too for when you're preparing for post-secondary. And if you're looking for different things to add to your resume, this is a great resource to check out. And another great program that offers some funds is the Caring for Our Watersheds program. So I'll turn things over here to Cody, who will give us an overview of this program.
Thank you so much, Catherine, and nice to meet all of you virtually. Thank you so much for having me in your school virtually today. And I just want to say how impressed I am with the work that Catherine is doing with the Student Action Challenge. The fact that you have so many projects that are student-led, that are really making an impact and a positive difference in locally in those students' communities is so incredible. So like Catherine said, I'm here to just let you know about another opportunity to fund student-led environmental projects. I'm with the City of Calgary, so I'm a program coordinator here with the Parks Department. But Caring for Our Watersheds, the program here that I'm here to speak about today, is province-wide. So just a little bit of background about Caring for Our Watersheds. It did start here in Alberta in 2007 up in the Battle River Watershed with their coordinator just in Camrose outside of Edmonton, so up closer to your guys' neck of the woods. But we do have 2 contests in Alberta now. So the program started here in Alberta, but it's expanded internationally. So we have a Central Alberta contest, which it sounds like you all would be eligible to enter. I'm the coordinator for Southern Alberta, so everything Airdrie and South. But essentially the program is run the same, it just has 2 different coordinators. Caring for Our Watersheds is also in a few states now, as well as there's a contest down in Argentina. So it's really cool to see students from all over the world getting involved and getting excited in benefiting their watersheds and benefiting their local environments and their communities. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'll provide you with just a little bit of background about what a watershed is, why they're so crucial and important to us as a society and to the overall ecosystem, and then a little bit of information about the Caring for Watersheds program and how your students can get involved and hopefully win some prize money for themselves as well as for your school. Let me know if you can see this all right, because I can't see you guys. So if Catherine, if you could let me know.
Yeah, looks good, Cody.
Excellent. So this is the big question that we challenge students to address, is what can you do to improve your watershed? So we're looking for unique out-of-the-box solutions to environmental issues, and we're looking for these projects to be student-led. This isn't a grant program. All of the funding comes from Nutrien, our sponsor, and then the program is coordinated and hosted by the City of Calgary. For the Central Alberta portion, I will share the contact information for that coordinator, but they're based out of the Battle River Watershed Alliance, and so their contest has a very similar timeline to ours. So first of all, it's important to understand what a watershed exactly is. So watersheds are an area of land where all of the water, whether it be groundwater, surface runoff, precipitation, tributaries, it all drains to the same larger location or body of water, like an ocean or a sea, or in our case, here in Southern Alberta, to the Hudson Bay. So there's no political or geographic borders. It's just a kind of a catchment basin where all of the water just naturally flows down gradient and naturally collects together. A lot of people, tend to only think of rivers, lakes, and wetlands as being part of their watershed, but it's more than that. It's the air, it's the land, it's the infrastructure, the people that live here. You at your school right now, you at home, you're still part of your watershed. everyone in the world lives in a watershed, and everyone impacts their watershed in their daily lives, whether directly or indirectly. So I have a short video here just to help visualize this process a little bit better.
What is a watershed? Is it a shed that holds water? Nah, try again. A watershed is all of the land that drains into the same location or body of water. People tend to think only of water bodies such as rivers, lakes, and wetlands as being part of their watershed. However, any land, whether it is park, farm, forest, school parking lot, and even the soil we build our homes on is also included. Think of a watershed as a funnel, collecting all the water within a specific area and draining into the nearest body of water. Drop by drop, water is channeled into soil, groundwater, creeks and streams, making its way to larger rivers and eventually the ocean. Everyone in the world lives in a watershed. Watersheds know no political borders, whether local, national, or international. Our environment, our economy, and our society all depend on a healthy watershed.
All right, so this slide is more relevant to us here in Southern Alberta, but you can kind of see from this diagram here just the scope of the Beau River watershed, for example. Up near you, it might be the Battle River watershed. It might be a different watershed that you and your students can research and look into. But here in Calgary, our watershed source is the Beau Glacier and the Beau Lake west of us in the Rocky Mountains. And you can see that this watershed covers a huge amount of land area with the Beau River and all its tributaries flowing east through Brooks and towards Medicine Hat, and then connecting with the South Saskatchewan watershed, eventually draining into the Hudson Bay. So why should we care about our local watersheds and environmental issues in our community?
Over 70% of the Earth is covered in water. But how much can you actually use? I think you'll be surprised, but only 2.5% of the Earth's water is fresh water, and only 0.3% of this is clean and accessible for humans, because water is locked in ice, underground, and in our atmosphere. Ideal water is limited, and so is soil. 30% of the Earth is covered in land, with over 7 billion people living on it. As the human population continues to grow, we are putting more pressure on our finite natural resources. In addition to supporting humans, plants and animals also depend on these precious resources. Natural resources are essential to our survival, so it's critical that we take action to conserve and protect them. If the big picture of our world doesn't inspire you to make a difference, think about the local picture. We all live downstream from someone. What they do impacts us. What we do impacts us, and it impacts our neighbors. These actions might not be as obvious as someone littering or unnecessarily idling their car. It can be a negative action that impacts the environment indirectly or over time. I'm not trying to point a finger at anyone, but we can all do better. It bugs me to think about things like pharmaceutical drugs being flushed down the toilet, plastic water bottles and bags being overused and improperly disposed of, urban sprawl, paving over good farmland and wildlife habitat, and even dogs pooping and owners leaving it there so it runs down the storm drains and directly into our rivers. With such a limited amount of water and a limited amount of land, it's important that every single day of the year, we take the time and effort to help the land, air, and water. Think global, act local.
All right, is everyone still following me so far? All right, so from these videos, you can see that a watershed is more than just water, right? So even though it has that word in it, we impact the land, air, water, wildlife habitat, a lot of different aspects. So whether we're, participating in recreation activities, agriculture, oil and gas, business and industry, or even just living in urban areas, we are fundamentally connected to our water systems, either directly or indirectly. So here's some examples of some actions that you might see in your neighborhood or on your street of that could be harming or benefiting your watershed or your environment in different ways. So on the left, we have some examples of actions that people can take in and around their homes that minimize the environmental damage or minimize the negative impacts on our watershed, or even have beneficial outcomes. So these actions could be things like picking up our pet waste, directing our stormwater runoff to a rain barrel or onto our gardens or onto our yards, taking our vehicles to the car wash instead of hosing them off in our driveways, managing our pesticide and fertilizer use appropriately and not using excess. There's a lot of different things that we can see locally in our communities that we can take action to help out our watershed and subsequently the greater environment. So I'd like to show you the last short video, just providing a brief overview of the Caring for Our Watersheds contest and how students can get involved in some of these action projects and hopefully acquire some additional funding for those projects as well. So this is a brief general overview, and then I'll get into some of the details afterwards.
What's bugging you? There's a lot that can be changed to make our watersheds healthier. If a worker ant can carry 20 times its own body weight to help its community, how much work can you carry to help yours? The Caring for Our Watersheds program has asked the question, what can you do to improve your watershed? Youth from all over the world are making a difference in their communities. Like Cam from Calgary, Alberta, who installed bat boxes and bird houses to reduce insects. Students from Vigilia, Argentina, who got their whole community together to plant butterfly gardens that increase biodiversity and create a wall mural to raise awareness. Fozia and Alexander from Carmen, Manitoba, who submitted a song to inspire and encourage others to protect their watersheds. And Allison, Jesse, and Levi from Greeley, Colorado, who replaced their school's toilets to low-flow options. Take a look around you and think how you can protect and improve the water, air, and land. Pick one concern. Come up with one solution. For every problem, there are hundreds of solutions. You just have to come up with one. Research and discuss your ideas with parents, teachers, and friends, and local experts. Explain it in a written proposal. Include graphics, models, pictures, or videos to support your idea. This isn't another school paper. This is a proposal to community judges, so sell your idea to them as being the best. And don't be afraid to think outside the box. Consider your talents or passions. How can your personal interests create a solution to your problem? Remember, you can have fun while taking meaningful action in your community. I get it, we're not ants. But seriously, you can make a difference and win prizes for yourself and your school or club. If you have a solution, we want to hear it. If you want to take action, we can help make it happen. Project funding and mentorship is available. Brought to you by Nutrien and community partners around the world.
All right, so that's a general overview. So basically how this program Caring for Our Watersheds works is students in grades 7 to 12 in Alberta are eligible. They can work individually or in a group of up to 4 students maximum. And really we're looking for students to identify one environmental concern. So one issue that you notice in your community or locally that you can do something to address. So like the video said, there are so many things, so many different issues with our watershed and with different aspects of the environment. We're only asking you to identify one concern and come up with one solution to address that concern. Write and explain your project idea, your solution in a written proposal, 1,000 words maximum, so 2 to 3 pages, and then submit it to the Caring for Our Watersheds website. So in the top right here, this image is the homepage of caringforourwatersheds.com, and you can see there's a little tab in the top right saying student action, enter contest, or choose location. So teachers can register their class on that enter contest tab, and then students can submit their proposals once their teacher has registered. Once all the submissions have come in, after March 19th, the deadline, we have a panel of judges who review all of the student proposals and narrow them down to the top 10 ideas. So these are the top 10 ideas that will make a real impactful environmental difference and are feasible and realistic for students to take the leads on and actually get up on their feet and implement. Those top 10 finalists are invited, or those top 10 teams, I should say, because you could be in a group of up to 4. So those top 10 teams are invited to a final competition, which will be virtual this year, where each team will have 5 minutes to present to a new panel of judges, and then they'll get a score and ranked 1st to 10th. All 10 finalists will get prize money for themselves and their school. And any participating students or any participating teams are eligible to apply for implementation funding. So you don't need to be in the top 10 finalists to access funding to implement your project and see your project become a reality. You can still reach out, and if you have a realistic plan and a realistic budget and timeline and you know exactly what you want to do, we can help make it happen. So one thing that's new for this year's program is the inclusion of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So some of you may have heard of these 17 goals that the United Nations has really challenged all world leaders to strive towards. So these are things like ending poverty, ending hunger, working towards climate action, improving life on land and life below the water, ensuring accessible food, clean water, all these things that make our nations and make our communities so healthy and successful. So students will be awarded bonus points. You'll get up to 3 bonus points automatically by the judges if you connect your idea and your environmental solution to at least one of these sustainable development goals, which is really easy to do because a lot of them are already environmental related. So I wanted to give you a few examples of student projects that have been implemented in previous years and fairly recently. So on the left, you can see there's a children's watershed coloring book that a team of students created as an educational piece to help younger students in their school really understand what a watershed is and how they're connected to it and how they can possibly help. In the middle, there was a group of students who really wanted to really get their hands in the dirt. So they had a planting day where they planted native shrubs and native tree species to provide habitat for pollinators like hummingbirds. On the right, this group of students, they were really into computer coding. So they actually coded an app, an interactive and animated app to raise awareness about the harmful effects of plastic microbeads on fish and aquatic ecosystems. So really, really different, unique, creative ideas that did really, really well in the program. So here are the awards. So yeah, what you guys are going to do is you're going to brainstorm, research, write your Caring for Our Watersheds proposal. And that could be a proposal that you modified from possibly a previous submission. If you guys have maybe entered an application for the Student Action Challenge or other grants or other programs, maybe you just modify that plan to fit with the Caring for Our Watersheds proposal guidelines. And it might still be a valid project that we want to fund or help you expand or help add impact or add components to. So for the top 10 finalists, the first place student group gets $1,000. So if you come in first, that $1,000 goes to you. You don't have to spend it on your project. You take that home and enjoy it. Even the 10th place team gets $300, and then your school will get matching rewards. So say you as a student get 3rd place, and I send you a check for $800. I'll send another check for $800 to your school, and that is your school's to use to possibly fund, I don't know, projects that your school's already doing, hopefully something that benefits the environment. Additionally, we will send $100 to your school for every 10 entries we receive. So if we receive 20 proposals, we'll send $200 to your school automatically, even regardless of placement in the finals. And then on top of that, we have $10,000 available to help fund student-led projects. So like I was saying, students don't need to be in the top 10 to access the implementation funding. If you have a good idea and you have a realistic plan and you really want to see your project become a reality, you can still access that funding even if you don't make it to the final competition. So the contest entry deadline for Southern Alberta is March 19th. I know the Central Alberta contest has a slightly different deadline. I think it's a week later, actually. So I can confirm that date with you. And then our final competition is going to be virtual, and the Central Alberta has the same date, April 24th, with our judges, teachers, and the top 10 finalist teams. And here are some photos of our finalists from previous years. So just a couple of things to think about. Like I said, if you have projects that that you're doing already in your school, or you have projects that you've planned out or submitted to other things already, you might just need to modify that plan a little bit, but you're more than welcome to think of new ideas as well. Check out the Caring for Our Watersheds website, caringforourwatersheds.com, for more examples of past student projects. I also have a student workbook that I'm happy to share that will really help your students work through this entire process, come up with a really concrete, realistic plan, realistic budget and timeline. And then the student workbook also has the judging rubric, so you can see exactly what the judges are going to be looking for and what you're going to be gaining or possibly losing points for. So the City of Calgary and Nutrien run this program. Nutrien is our sponsor. They provide all of the funding, and then the City of Calgary hosts the program and coordinates it. We also have community partners from around Alberta that support the contest in various ways as well, including 4-H, the Alberta Water Portal Society, the Bow River Basin Council, the Ghost Watershed Alliance Society, Inside Education, the Milk River Watershed Council, the Old Man Watershed Council, and Trout Unlimited Canada. And the Central Alberta contest has some different community partners that are more specific to your area. So there's my contact information. caringforourwatersheds.com also has the contact information for the Central Alberta coordinator. I can look that up for you on the website right now as well, but I encourage you to check that out as it has a ton of watershed resources, some interactive fun games, as well as all of the details and samples of previous years that'll help you and your students be successful in the program. So thank you very much. I will open it up to questions, and at the same time, I'm going to go on the website and find you the correct submission date for the Central Alberta contest. But yeah, if there's any questions or anything I can help clarify, I'm more than happy to do so.
I have a question, Cody. Sorry, I'm just leaving the room because I don't want to give feedback here to my crew. But I'm just wondering if that deadline, so this application process is the same for both the school and club awards and the project implementation funding? Like, would we complete the same application process, or am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, exactly. So any student that submits a proposal through the website is eligible to also apply for implementation funding. So the process is the same. Typically, after the contest kind of wraps up in April, then I'll email all the participants the implementation process. And usually what it looks like is just a virtual meeting between myself, the teacher, and the students that want to implement their project. And as long as myself and the teacher agree that this is doable, it's feasible, they have a plan of action, a realistic timeline and budget, then we'll be able to provide the funding that way. Yeah. But you don't have to apply separately for the implementation funding. You can just reach out to me directly after the student submits their proposal to the website. Awesome.
Great, and I would invite questions as well, not just for Caring for Our Watersheds, which I have to say is just a wonderful program. It's such a good way to get more money into the hands of students and have all of these really, really creative projects going on like all across the province. But if there are any questions about the Student Action Challenge as well, I'm happy to answer those now too. And Cody, actually, the deadline is, yeah, March 23rd for Central Alberta. And Central Alberta, again, that includes not just Central Alberta, also Northern Alberta.
That includes Northern Alberta. Everything north of Airdrie we consider Central Alberta. But yes, so that link that I just sent has the contact information for that contest coordinator as well. And you're correct, March 23rd is the submission deadline for that one. Yeah.
Perfect. Are there any additional questions? And I'll say as well, these webinars, so this first one was kind of about different granting opportunities, and now additional webinars are going to be more focused on the subject areas of the different projects. So for example, there are quite a few projects this year that are about creating gardens or outdoor spaces. So some like outdoor classrooms, some pollinator gardens, some gardens for food. So I'll be working to connect those different groups together and then looping in some different experts from the government and possibly not-for-profit groups to talk a little bit about different ways that you can just kind of enhance your projects. I'll be putting different people in touch. And so if there's anyone that you are looking to connect with, like if you have some questions about your projects and you're wondering if someone can talk to you about, for example, there's a trail building project. So if you want someone to talk to you about how to safely build trails that have as big of an impact as possible, or as small of an environmental impact as possible, then I'm happy to put you in touch with those different resources. Just shoot me an email, or you're welcome to ask here as well. Awesome. Any final questions from anyone? I have to say I'm really excited to see all of the projects come to fruition. Great. Well, we will wrap it up there then. I want to say a huge thank you to Cody for giving us all of that information. It's such an inspiring program, and it's so cool to see that it's gone worldwide now, like all across to different areas. Knowing especially that it started here in Alberta, just from someone who was passionate about their watershed, who worked for the Battle River Watershed Alliance, and just spreading it like that. So it's really great. So thank you, Cody, for joining us and sharing all of that information. And thank you to everybody else too for joining us here on this Friday afternoon. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and looking forward to seeing the projects develop.
Thank you so much, Catherine, and thanks everybody.
Thanks all.